صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، نحمده ونشكره ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوكل عليه ونصلي ونسلم على حبيبه ونجيبه وخيرته في خلقه، حافظ سره ومبلغ رسالاته، بشير رحمته ونذير نغمته، سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى آله الأطيبين المنتجبين المهديين المعصومين المكرمين، سيما بقية الله في العالمين. روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. أوصيكم عباد الله ونفسي بتقوى الله وطاعته. وسئل عن القدر فقال عليه السلام: طريق مظلم فلا تسلكوه، وبحر عميق فلا تلجوه، وسر الله فلا تتكلفوه. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. I advise myself and all my brothers and sisters to have in taqwa of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala and keeping the boundaries that Allah has set for us. It was asked from Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam, what is qadar? The meaning of qadar. That is translated as things like, for example, in the topic of destination, predestination, or similar topics. Imam alayhi salam says this is a path that is dark, is an unknown path. It's a very difficult path to find your way. Do not step in it. And it is like a very deep sea, so do not sink in it. And it's like this type of Allah's secret, so do not make yourself burdened with it. So Imam alayhi salam is telling people, do not try to find what is your destiny. Don't think that by thinking or researching into what is happening, like some people do things like that, they try to find out what's going to happen next in their life. They got to find out what's the relation between certain things happening and the end results. It's a common thing, you know, if you look at all cultures, you've got these people that they come the fortune tellers. You know, the fortune tellers, they pretend that they can tell you what is going to happen in future to you. The fact that there is such a dodgy business, you know, it shows our interest. When you have any sort of business in this world that there is a dodgy version of it, that means that people care about it. It means there's a good version of it as well, and there's something people care about. Otherwise, you cannot really make somebody interested by something so hideous, so ridiculous. You know, how could you tell somebody, I'm a random person, I'm going to look at your palm and tell you what's going on in your future. I will look at your eyes and tell you what's going on in your future. How would you be able to convince somebody that you could do it? Something so ridiculous that if you think about it, in a normal circumstances, for a logical person, as long as you are rational enough to think for 5 minutes, you will say, this is ridiculous. A random gypsy is passing somewhere. with some weird clothing and comes to you and says, look, I can tell you what's your future. Unless people are desperate. When people are desperate, as the Arabic they say, Al-Ghariq yatashabbasu bikulli hashish, that means that you're just desperate, you just want to take everything. The one that is going down, is sinking down, the drowning person will take everything. Any little grass or anything, straw, anything will try to catch it. Because similar thing in English for it, isn't it? If you find somebody that is desperately sick, may Allah protect all of you from any disease. May Allah give all of us long life with health. If somebody is sick, especially if there is a type of disease that doctors have said, look, we can't do anything for you, some sort of desperate disease, a desperate patient. The patient would be, because it's desperate, starts taking any medication you give them. They go after this herbal medicine from some weird voodoo from the other side of the world. They mix, anything that has any name that might be natural. Like one of the things that is very natural is snake poison, It's very natural. But it doesn't mean that you should take it. But they advertise everything so-called natural. And they've got these jobs, a naturopath. And it's because people are desperate. Despite of that, Imam alayhi salam says, don't even think about it. Don't try to find out what is your destination. What's your future? Don't try to think like that. What does that mean? The first step to understand that is the meaning of qadar. As you know, the two words that usually come together, al-qada wal-qadar. Qada and qadar usually come together. Qada is from the verb in Arabic, means something is destined, is finished, is for sure written. That's qada. And qadar comes from measuring. So what does it mean as a terminology, al-qada wal-qadar? Al-qada means that certain things are destined to happen, is written for that to happen. As in Arabic says, that is written in fi lawhin mahfuz, fi somewhere that Allah Ta'ala has said, kept it safe, that's it, this is going to happen. And qadar is the measurement of that, basically the conditions of that. For example, you say that an earthquake on when was the day before yesterday, was it in Japan? So the earthquake in Japan, let's say this was destined to happen. So the earthquake was destined to happen. This was qada, and the Richter, the severity of it was qadar. There's qada and qadar. And then very, very nutshell, very simple version of it. I mean, there are books written about this. At the same time, qada and qadar, this destination, predestination, whatever the translation you want to accept, is the most controversial topic amongst Muslims. Like when you want to talk about people's different sects and their differences, where you can actually catch them is in this topic. Because when, for example, comes to the issue of Tawheed itself, many people claim that they believe in Allah Ta'ala being one, and all things that we have heard, and even they quote Ahlul Bayt from Ahlul Sunnah, they quote Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. The other day, I was just by chance, I went to there is a Muslim radio channel, and they were talking about the Tawheed and Allah Ta'ala, and they quoted Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. This Muslim channel that is available, you can turn. I think they're Ahbash, isn't it? Is it? Is the Ahbash, isn't it? Yeah, I think that they are behind it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's a Muslim channel, and they quoted Imam Sajjad alayhi salam as the first quote. So, and lots of them actually, they have, I've seen in the, if you go to the books of Ahl Sunnah, especially Mu'tazila, they got, I mean, there are not many of them around, but their books, if you look, lots of them quote from Imam Ali alayhi salam. A lot. When it comes to something called Al-Adl, justice, as you know, when you want to talk about your Usul al-Din, the Shia, usually we add two things to the usual Usul al-Din, which is Tawheed, Ma'ad, and Nabuwah. We add two other things, Al-Ad wal-Imamah. We add these two, yes? Why do we add Adl to a Tawheed? Because Adl is part of Tawheed. Because that's a very controversial place. And this Adl is based on Qada and Qadar. The main part of this justice of Allah is about Qada and Qadar. Now, we don't have time to go through all these different opinions and what it means. But let's just make it very simple. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has made certain things destined for us. Certain things are destined. So we got three things I explained. One, things that are destined, that's what's going to happen. Like what? Death. Death is destined itself, not the time. I'm not talking about the time yet. The fact that somebody will die, that's destined for everybody. We'll all die. One day we'll die, sooner or late. The time, the second thing is that the time of death itself has two versions. One, the version that is for sure that no matter what happens in your life, if you survive until that day, you're going to die. It's called Ajalum Musamma. The Ajal, the time, the dedicated, appointed time that is being destined for you. The second type of Ajal is that the one that we bring upon ourselves. So what we do, we bring the date forward. What they call, some people call it Ajal al-Mu'allaq. Mu'allaq is like waiting there to fall on somebody. So the second part is the one that we may bring it forward, or no, actually we delay it until that ajalun musamma. Yes. So far, we've got two obvious things. One, the qada and qadar, that is for sure. Two, the qada and qadar, that we can interfere with it, like giving sadaqah. They say it would elongate your life. Being nice to parents. Reading Quran, visiting Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and their graves, things like that, for example. So certain things will change the destiny in our life, but there is still a fixed one. The fixed one is still there, but we can, in a limit, we can change it. There is a limit, in that limit we can change it. The third thing that we need to know, and this is the belief of Shia, this third one, is something called al-bada'. What is al-bada'? And that's where Ahl Sunnah do not believe in al-bada'. Bada means starting or changing. Starting something. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has told us that, let's say, going back to the same example, that this is your death. This is the time of your death. And until that day we can bring it forward, or no, push it until that day. This bit is obvious, we said it. What is al-bada? Allah Ta'ala for certain people has left an extra time. It's like these football matches or soccer matches. There's an extra time sometimes. Yeah? Why is there extra time? Because Allah Ta'ala, for certain reasons, wants to give extra time for some people, be it good or bad, be it as a blessing or not a punishment. could be adhab for some people, and for some people could be a blessing. Their life gets longer. Bada is something that we don't have access to it. However, Allah Ta'ala, time does not apply to Allah. So from day one, Allah knows that this guy will get extended life or not, because time doesn't apply to Allah. This is a very simple thing. Obviously, it's more complicated. There are verses in Quran that Allah Ta'ala says, look, we have destined certain things. Like the rules, that's sunnatullah. There is a sunnah of Allah. If somebody, the tradition of Allah, if somebody does this, this happens. If you're a good person, you go to heaven. If you're a bad person, you go to hell, for example. If a person, like now in the world, if the world that we live in, materialistic life, if you put your hand in fire, it's going to burn. There's no obligation in you putting your hand in fire. Some people get confused here. They say, oh, that means there is predestination and everything is written for us. And that's the problem with the majority of Ahl Sunnah. Right now, majority of Ahl Sunnah, they are Ash'a'ira. And the Ash'aris, some of them, especially some of them, they say, look, this is written for you. The event was written, was destined to happen. And that's it, you went into this event. But we say no. We're saying that Allah Ta'ala can change it. Maybe there's something written, maybe it's not written. Maybe it's written, but Allah has a plan to change it. For the time being it's written, but Allah has a plan to change it. That's bada. So, when it comes to understanding where we are, as a very good example in the riwayah, is that we have limits, and we have, in that limits, we have freedom. Fire burns, but you go and put your hand in fire is your fault. If I go and put my hand in fire, I can't say, it's Allah's fault, made fire something burning, something that burns. This burning, it was in fire. You shouldn't be there. Or it's Allah's fault that I go to Jahannam, for example. If somebody goes to Jahannam, it's Allah's fault. Allah made it like this. It's not my fault. No, it's my fault. I could have chosen not to go to Jahannam because there's another option. If that was the only option, yes. When there's another option, that means that is my fault. But do we have any freedom to do whatever we want to do? No. Certain things, we are in that line is destined, or we are, what we say in Arabic is jabr. It's basically something we've been forced upon to do, to have it. Like what? Like life. You know, we were born without we didn't do anything. We just were born with the will of Allah and through parents. And we die, and we can't do anything about it. Certain thing is there. Is, for example, becoming old. It's not in our hand. We're going to get old. So certain things not in our hand, but in that limits, what we do is on hand. So when Imam alayhi salam says, do not try to find out what's going on in your life. Do not enter this world of deep sea of destination and what's happening next. It means do not confuse yourself by sitting there and thinking, oh, this is going to happen. This is my destiny. This happened because Allah wanted. No, this happened because of this. No. You do your duties. You do what is good, what is right. Whatever happens is Allah's hand. That's the simple message. And most of us understand that. You know, it's not that complicated. Sometimes people come and ask questions and get a little bit confused. But the truth is, most of us understand it very well. That we are supposed to do our best, in our best abilities that we have to do the right thing, and whatever happens is not necessarily in our hands. Many times in our life, we predict something and we put the causes next to each other, and we want to get the effect at the end is different. The effect becomes different. One of the reasons, as I mentioned that, inshallah we'll finish this, and one of the reasons that Ahl Sunnah went towards Ash'ara, because there was another big sect called Al-Mu'tazila, and the Mu'tazila got killed by Ahl Sunnah. Ahl Sunnah killed them. They killed them in the centuries so much that right now you cannot find any of them, even though they were one of the biggest, or at least of the Sunni belief system. Their belief system in Ahl Sunnah was mainly Ash'ari or Ash'ara, and then you got Mu'tazila and Maturidiyah. These are the main ones. And then you got a little bit of the ones that divided, sort of came out of this, like As-Salafiyah, and then some, well, As-Salafiyah is not necessarily the Salafi that we know. After Ibn Taymiyyah, this Salafi belief changed. So there are some people that they are Salafis, but they're not like Ibn Taymiyyah. But the problem with the Salafiyah is obviously after a few hundred years ago that Ibn Taymiyyah came, change, and then somebody like Ibn Abdul Wahhab, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, got that idea and continued. So what happened is that they, at some point, the Bani Umayyah and Marwanis, they realized the belief of Mu'tazila and Imamiyah, which is the Shia, this is not their benefit. Because this says that it's your fault. If people are oppressing you, if their ruler is oppressing you, it's your fault. Get up, do something about it. You have a duty to do something about it. They came and said that this is not going to work. They promoted the belief of Ash'ara. Why? Because it says, don't say anything. It's not your fault. Nothing to do with you. Allah wanted. Allah wanted for this guy to be the ruler. Allah wanted the Hajjaj ibn Yusuf to be a murderer and become the ruler. Allah wanted the Abdul Malik al-Marwan be ruler and kill people. So you should say nothing. Sit on your place and just tolerate. And Allah will reward you. This belief suited the rulers at the time so much. And when it got to Bani al-Abbas, they promoted that totally. They said, fantastic. This is the best thing we can keep. Everybody became Ash'ara. Now there's a small group that Maturidiyah in north of Africa, but even that doesn't help. So the freedom thinking, the free thinking, that's gone. And that's the problem that we have. And we talked about this, and the fact that majority of what we're going through with the Muslim world is due to disbelief. This is the problem that we have. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق ويرزق ولا يرزق ويطعم ولا يطعم ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك أفضل وأحسن وأكمل وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأطهر وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفوتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين وصل على سبطي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي، حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أوصيكم عباد الله ونفسي بتقوى الله وطاعته. I advise myself and all my brothers and sisters to having taqwa of Allah and keeping the boundaries that Allah has set for us. وقال عليه السلام: إذا أرذل الله عبدا حضر عليه العلم. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says that when Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala wants to bring a person down, a servant of Allah down, and that's due to the sin that that person has done. If this person is supposed to go down, Allah will start with this, keeping knowledge away from him. So, knowledge is the key to many, many things in our lives, and so important that Imam alayhi salam says, if you stay away, you're staying away from knowledge. And you can translate it the reverse as well, to think if somebody cannot really get knowledge, every time he wants to get any knowledge, something will stop him and it becomes a barrier. This person should go and look into his sins. You see, maybe I'm doing something that Allah is taking the path of knowledge away from me. Knowledge, a person who's knowledgeable, Allah Ta'ala puts it next to himself and the angels. He says, Shahidallahu wal malaikatu wa ulul ilm. When it comes to bear witness, testify, this shahada is done by Allah. The same version is done by malaika and ulul ilm. So if somebody's got knowledge, of course the ones that are absolute knowledge, the knowledge that is from Allah directly, they are Ahlul Bayt, Anbiya, they have direct knowledge from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. But others can gain knowledge as well. They can seek knowledge, and if the path is opened for us, that is a big blessing. It doesn't have to be an official thing. You know, you don't have to, for seeking knowledge, you don't have to go through some official class or something. Many people go through a course or university or something, and they study and they get degree of it, and later on when you talk to them, they know nothing about it, or they know part of it, and you ask them, what's going on? You studied this, you should be expert in this field. I say, well, look, you know, we just passed it, we just went through the courses and we got some numbers and that's it. And then you see somebody else who hasn't gone through any official class for that, and you see that he understands it very well. Now, of course, the best knowledge and the most important knowledge in our life is the knowledge of life itself, which is religion, the first. Knowledge of life, one of them is religion. Okay, there are things related to that. For example, if you know in your life any skills, if you know, for example, medicine, if you know anything in your life that is related to life, that would help. That would help your religion. A marja', a mujtahid, for bringing the fatwa, needs to have access to lots of types of knowledge. Even if he doesn't understand himself, he has to go and find an expert and get their opinion. So he has to be exposed to everything. And in our life, that's important. We have to be exposed to everything. Enough to understand the right path, enough to distinguish between right and wrong, enough for that knowledge to become al-furqan for us. Quran is furqan, which means differentiates between haqq and batil, separates what is right, what is wrong. This differentiator itself has certain criteria, certain characteristics that it comes to the existence of Quran, and that's why Quran can show the right and wrong for us. So the principle is there. Principle is Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and riwayat, as they based on the hadith of Thaqalain. The most important source of knowledge is these two. We can attach everything else to these things. Along with that, then you can go and learn whatever you want to learn. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala, apart from that, has given special class and status to people who seek knowledge. Quran says, يَرْفَعُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُولُو الْعِلْمِ دَرَجَاتٍ. Allah Tabarak Ta'ala has given special high status for the people who seek knowledge. In our life, it might be sometimes even important to seek knowledge about politics, about what's going on in the world. The world that we live in cannot really, nobody cannot ignore. It is impossible for anybody to ignore what is happening around him. And then make excuses sometimes, you know. I've seen some people made excuses in the event of Gaza, saying that we have nothing to do with us. Oh, it's okay. We live our own life. Or they do not know what's going on, and every day they attack somebody. They say, oh, this guy's right, this guy's wrong. Haqq and batil is obvious, is easy to find, as long as Imam Ali alayhi salam says that if you find the haqq and batil, then you know who is on haqq and batil. Find what is right, what is wrong, then it's easy. It's easy to see that a person that is treating others with double standard, that person is wrong. It's easy to see if there is a terrorist this side of the world, they all shout and jump up and down. If it's the other side of the world, well, you know, something happened, nothing to do with us. That is easy to see. If we open our eyes, this differentiator is with us. We can easily see they bomb people in Gaza. People are quiet. Many people are quiet. There is a small group of the other side, or some other people get killed. It's all in the media. Everybody jumping up and down. People get killed in Iran with a bomb. Very peaceful people going. They are commemorating the death of one of their commanders, whoever that person is, good or bad. We're not talking about how good the Shaheed Soleimani was, or what he was about, or what he's done in this world. We don't want to talk about that. Those people are going there for the sake of their own interest and their own freedom and their own love for this person. When they were showing people got killed, because city of Kerman, as you know, is in the middle of desert in Iran. It's not close to other places. There were people coming all the way from Mashhad. Mashhad is northeast of Iran. Is a long way to go to Kerman. It's like from here going to Darwin. It's a long way. People from there, they went for this funeral and they got killed. Most of them young people. Most of people got killed. They were very young. Young people who were innocent, and they just went there without any sort of military act. What are the excuses? Okay, you want to say that Hamas is terrorists and you want to kill them, and that's why you got to kill all these children, everybody, you making excuses. Who was there that you wanted to kill? Who was behind that ceremony that you have to kill all these people to catch that? I know that they haven't claimed, and the official claim is not there yet and all that, but hey, we have numerous examples to see that the terrorist is a terrorist no matter what. The terrorist is in the face of a government or a group, militia, whatever you want to call them. Terrorist is a terrorist. And the double standard is that exists in this world, and you see that one place they condemn, the other place they shut up, as if they're all suddenly they got some certain disease that they cannot talk. This is the double standard in this world, and we ask Allah Tabarak Ta'ala to bring our Imam back to us. Inshallah, we will see the standard of Allah become the main ruler in the world, inshallah. Before I forget, and inshallah I will announce it in between the prayers as well, the two announcements, two occasions for the birthday of Fatimah al-Zahra, salamullahi alayha. One is that is an event on Sunday, which has been organized by the Shia Network. So it's in Granville Town Hall on Sunday from 3:30 to 6. Anybody who would like to attend, there are lecturers. There's a poster there, so you can take a photo. There are lecturers that mainly ladies. Most of them are ladies. Many of them are, like half of them are probably from the revert background, very educated people. Their perspective, it's just an occasion to remember Fatimah al-Zahra Salamullah alayha's birthday. Also in our own center, tomorrow, we have a program from 7:15, which includes a short speech, not a long speech, short speech. And the Kahoot, if I pronounce it right, the Kahoot competition, I think. So they will give you prizes or whatever it is. So there's like a bit of fun there. And reciting by our reciters, that they will recite for this celebration. We invite everybody to take part. And make sure in both of these occasions, at the end, you eat the food as well. It's very important. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين. اللهم بفاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها اقض حوائجنا. اللهم اكشف هذه الغمة عن هذه الأمة. اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور. اللهم أغن كل فقير. اللهم أشبع كل جائع. اللهم اكس كل عريان. اللهم اقض دين كل مدين. اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب. اللهم رد كل غريب. اللهم فك كل أسير. اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين. اللهم اشف كل مريض. اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك. اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك. اللهم اقض عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير. وصل اللهم على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.